Hello there everyone and welcome to a new programming tutorial on the Future Programmer YouTube channel. In this video, we will be talking about how to use Matplotlib to create bar graphs. Not just simple bar graphs, but also double bar graphs, stacked bar graphs, and horizontal bar graphs. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Bar graphs use bars to compare data in distinct categories. Matplotlib's pyplot module provides the plt.bar function, which is used to create bar graphs. In its simplest form, it takes two parameters, x and height. X is going to be the list of x coordinates of the bars, basically the x or category labels. Height is kind of like y. This will be the heights of our bars. So if I call plt.bar with two lists, x being 1 through 6 and height being 1 squared through 6 squared, and then show this bar graph, we can see that we have a total of 6 bars. The x coordinates of these bars is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The heights of these bars is going to be 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and 36. Of course, we can also use alphabetical labels instead of 1 through 6 as our x labels. So in this bar graph, we can see the x labels is going to be A, B, C, D, E, and F, while the heights remain the same as before. You can also customize your bar graphs with a few other parameters, including width, which will customize the width of your bar graph. The default is going to be 0.8. If I show this bar graph, we can see the bars are going to be thicker and they're adjacent to each other. They are connected to the bars that are next to each bar. Whereas the previous ones, we can see there is some space between the individual bars. We also have color, pretty self-explanatory. This will change the color to orange. And then we have edge color, which is going to change the color of the lines that are the borders of our bars. plt.title, same as before, it will change the title of our bar graphs to be favorite subjects. plt.bar actually returns a bar container object, which contains all of the artist objects in our bar graph. We don't need to know what that means, but we do need to know that we can pass this object into plt.bar label to label the values of a bar. So we have container is equal to plt.bar. So before we just called this, but it actually returns this container object, which we can store in a variable. We can pass container into plt.bar label. This function is going to take a bar container object, and we can see in our bar graph, all of our bars are now labeled. So that's what's going to happen when we write this line of code. Now let's talk about stacked bar graphs. We can use the bottom argument in plt.bar to create stacked bar graphs. We just need to call plt.bar multiple times, one for each stack, one for each layer of bars, and then we can use the bottom argument to stack the top bars on top of the bottom ones. So here we have the labels. We can kind of think about this as a budgeting or a spending bar graph. We have Q1 through Q4, and then food is going to be 50, 60, 56, and 49, and then we have two other lists for transportation and electricity. What we want to do here is we want to create a stacked bar graph where we have electricity on top of transportation, on top of food. So we can see here, we call plt.bar 3 times, one for food, one for transportation, and one for electricity. We store all of these return objects in C1, C2, and C3, which we'll use in just a moment. Now, in the first plt.bar function call, the only new thing is the label, which is basically the name for our bar graph, for this specific bar for food, which we can also see label equals to transportation here, label equal to electricity right here. The new thing in this code is actually bottom equals to food. Food, as you can see, is a list. So what's going to happen here is by default, bottom is equal to something. It equals to a list of 4 values 0, 0, 0, and 0. So let's just plot this for a second and show this. We can see the orange bars are on top of the blue bars, and the green bars are on top of the orange ones. So by default, the blue bars, which is for food, it has a bottom argument of 0, 0, 0, and 0. We don't pass anything in, but that's the default value. Whereas for for transportation, we actually pass in 4 values, 50, 60, 56, and 49. So we're basically raising all of these orange bars from their default position at the bottom here to top. So right here, they have been raised by 50. In this case, 60. In this case, 56 and 49 for the quarter 3 and quarter 4 bars. And same thing for the green bars. The code is kind of complicated here. We can see bottom is equal to this whole thing, but pretty simple. Zip, food, transportation, and then for each pair, F and T, we want to sum it up. So bottom equals to this list. This list is simply going to be, we have 50 plus 24, that's going to be 74. 60 plus 32, that's going to be 92. And then we have 81 and 80 here. So we are just raising all of the green bars by an amount which is equal to the height of the orange bar and the blue bar. You can also check to make sure that the values we specified here are actually matching the heights of our individual bars. We also call plt.legend here to create this key at the bottom for food, transportation, and electricity. You can also create double bar graphs using plt.bar. Pretty simple here. So we have labels, spring, summer, fall, and winter, and then we have x. This is going to be, well, we won't actually be showing this on our bar graph, but this is a pretty helpful thing to do. X, this will be the actual x coordinates, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's just take a look at the bar graph once I plot it. Here we have a double bar graph. So for spring, we have the low temperatures and the high temperatures, summer, fall, and winter as well. So width is going to be 0.35. Instead of plotting a whole bar, 0.35 is actually only going to be the width of one of these bars. This is 0.35. The orange one is 0.35. The blue one here is 0.35, and so on. Now, spring here, this mark right here is going to be 0. This is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, and this is going to be 3. You can see that we're actually calling plt.bar 2 times. The first time with our low temperatures, this is going to create the blue bars. The second time is going to create the orange bars. So how do we move all of the blue bars leftward? So we're actually plotting a little bit left of 0 here. And this one is a little bit left of the 1 here. How do we do that? Well, we know the width of our individual bars, 0.35. We can divide it by 2, which will give you the distance between this dot right here to this point right here. So we move the x coordinates of the blue bars left by 0.35 divided by 2, and we move the x coordinates of the orange bars to the right by 0.35 divided by 2. So in code, we can just do this. So we have a list here for every s in x. X again is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So for every value in that list, the x coordinates for the blue bars is going to be s minus width divided by 2. Whereas for the orange bars, we want to add s by width divided by 2. Low temperatures, high temperatures, width is going to be 0.35. Label the spring, summer, fall, and winter here, and that is actually the result of this function call right here, plt.xticks, x and labels. So what this is doing is we're matching x, 0 through 3, with the labels. 0 is going to correspond to spring, 1 is going to correspond to summer. So if I actually get rid of this, let me comment this out, we can see that our x-axis is going to be 0, 0.5, 1, 2, 3, etc. So we want to make sure we have x labels so we can correspond the x values, the numbers, to our actual labels. And of course, actually we can just add plt.legend here. There's no reason why we shouldn't. And we can see the low temperatures and high temperatures. This is more informative of a data visualization. Lastly, we're going to create some horizontal bar graphs. We just need the plt.barh bar horizontal to make horizontal bar graphs. This is kind of the opposite of plt.bar. Instead of x, we have y. Instead of height, we have width. So y is going to be the y coordinates of the bars, and the width is going to be the widths of the bars. So there are also some optional parameters like height and color. Height is going to be kind of similar to the width in plt.bar. This is going to be the height. So let me just run the following code. We can see we have the labels, the y values in this case, and these are the width. So 1, you can see, is actually going to be from here to here. And then 1.44 is going to be, 1 is actually going to be the bottom right here. This one is going to be 1. The green one has a width of 1. 1.44, we can see it matches Instagram right here. And then 2.92 is going to be Facebook. 2.5 is going to be YouTube. Height, this is kind of like width, is simply from here all the way down to here. That is going to be 0.7. And then we have a list of colors as our last parameter. So this is how you can use plt.bar and plt.barh to create all sorts of different bar graphs using Matplotlib. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below. I would also very much appreciate it if you can subscribe and like this video to support this channel. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in future programming tutorials.